Hi everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here, taking a look at the feature race at Belmont at the Big A on Saturday. Race 7 is the Grade 2 Sands Point. This one going the 1 mile and an eighth distance for the 3-year-old fillies on the turf. Interesting card at Aqueduct on Saturday. They got this graded stakes race and then a bunch of starter allowance races surrounding it. It's their fall starter day, some big fields later on. So definitely check out that Belmont at the Big A card at Aqueduct. But Mike, we're going to talk about the graded stakes action in this Sands Point. And so race where you've got four major contenders coming out of the local prep for this. The Grade 3 Winter Memories going the flat mile distance. And the winner of that race was Ready for Candy, who made it 2 in a row for New Connections. And she looks like the horse to beat right back in another graded stakes.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I wouldn't call this a super strong field overall, David, but that Winter Memory is the local prep for this. I guess that's the logical starting off point because you do have the first 4 finishers. So I think that's the race you got to start with, decide how you feel about it, and then move on to the others.
Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race because I found this pace scenario to be a little tough to read, and I'll be interested to see where the number 5 Ready for Candy is placed because she did take a field gate to wire when she went this distance at Saratoga to break her maiden over the summer, and they did rate her in her most recent start, that Winter Memories en route to victory, Mike, but she does feel like she's one of those in this field that has the tactical speed to go forward if they want to use her that way, and I didn't feel like any of the horses that were shown ahead of her on the pace projector would necessarily have intentions on making the front end.
I'm going to agree with that. When I looked at this race, I thought that the 5 was going to be on the lead in this race and the other horses were going to sort of take up positions behind her. We'll see how it plays out.
Let's go through this field from the rail out, beginning with the number 1, Boca Queen, a well-bred, Irish-bred daughter of Kingman, trained in Canada by Kevin Attard, shipping down for this race. And she was visually impressive when she made her career debut at Woodbine this summer, Mike. Since then, she's gone off favored in a couple of stakes races. Has been mildly disappointing. She tried the males last time in the Toronto Cup, going the 1 mile distance around that inner turf course at Woodbine. And I thought she got a decent trip and had her chance in upper stretch. And she's just a horse who's lacked much of a turn of foot in either of those stakes tries recently.
Yeah, I think we look at her the same way. I liked her debut quite a bit. I don't really like her 2 races since then at all. I mean, she got really broke badly in the Colleen and then was really ranked early in that race. But after that, she just didn't really kick hard. It felt like she still had a chance to win that race or at least be there at the end. She just didn't kick hard at all. I felt similarly about the race last time. I know it was against Colts, but the trip worked out and she just didn't find enough late. So I question how good she is, but I'm not going to question them shipping in to try this race because I just don't think it's a tough field.
One of the more intriguing options at a price in this race might be the number 2, Fast Market, who, if you were just evaluating her last race in isolation, you'd probably think she's a contender in here. We'll take a look at the replay of that race because she was visually impressive, breaking her maiden, going the 1 mile distance on this inner turf course at Aqueduct. She did get a very good trip saving ground, but check out the turn of foot that she displays to put away this field through the late stages. And it's not like this was a race that featured a fast pace that fell apart or anything like that. She really sprinted home. I think we're in her final quarter mile and 22-1 to win this race going away at the end. The problem is, Mike, kind of wonder where that came from because it was the 9th start of her career. She had prior chances on the turf. They tried going shorter with her a number of times, but if she can repeat it, she's a contender.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't really want to add too much of that. We just watched it and she was so impressive in that race. And then when you pull her PPs, you do scratch your head a little bit and go, how did she run that race? I mean, I guess if you wanted to bolster that opinion, David, you could just say the 2 races at Saratoga were 5.5 sprints, and maybe she just doesn't really want to do that. Although I felt like the first of those was not a poor effort at all. I thought she actually ran pretty well in that race. And then you go back to her her start earlier this year where they ran her in the Appalachian as a maiden. So it feels like these connections always thought that she was going to be pretty good, and she finally maybe put it all together last time. If she runs that race back, she can win here.
And Mike, maybe it's as simple as they took the blinkers off last time, and she settled way better than you would have expected of her stretching out in distance like that. I guess I'll just ask one question about her. Are you at all concerned about the mile and an eighth? Because she is a horse that they focused on turf sprinting for a while. The distance of this race, for me, it's a minor concern.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they might have been fooled by this horse from the start, though. I mean, they debuted her on dirt going a mile, and then when that didn't work out, they tried to cut her back. They switched surfaces back and forth. They've tried longer and shorter on both of them. I just feel like they didn't really know what to do with her. The distance is not that much of a worry for me, just because she's got the pedigree to do it, at least on the dam side. This sire, I don't look at this as a turf sire really, but more focus on the dam side. She's bred to get this far.
A horse who shouldn't have any problems with the distance is the number 3 Winfinity, who's been struggling to get there, finishing belatedly in mile and a 16th races at Colonial in her recent start. So a mile and an eighth should be right up her alley. It's just a matter of whether or not she can hang with this level of competition, because she's faced decent fields in her recent couple of starts, but she's just such a grinder, Mike. She doesn't necessarily have that turf turn of foot that you would look for to be successful at this kind of level. So I wonder if she's going to stack up against these.
Me too. I just don't like her last 2 races that much. She ran fine in them, but I didn't think she did anything special. The horse that beat her in the stakes race 2 starts back, that horse is pretty good, but I wouldn't like her if she was the one shipping up to run in this race.
Number 4, Griselda, is a horse that took a lot of money last time when she ran in that Grade 3 Winter Memories, which a quartet of runners come out of to race back in this Sands Point. She actually went off, I think, 3 cents shorter on the odds line than the winner, Ready for Candy, did. Mike, she's a horse who won her first start in this country for Chad Brown. I didn't love the field that she beat that day, and while she took support last time in that Winter Memories at the windows, I didn't see her do a whole lot of running in that race. She got a rail trip, angled out with a chance, and just never really picked up.
Yeah, agreed. Her stateside debut was fine. I mean, I thought her form over in France was okay. They just kept running her against males over there, and she just wasn't quite good enough. But the stateside debut was fine. I didn't think she ran well at all last time. And, we're going to get more into that Winter Memories, I guess, because all these horses are coming up now that are back in this race. I just don't like that race overall, David.
Fair enough. And let's take a look at the replay of that Winter Memories as we transition to talk about the likely favorite in this race, the number 5, Ready for Candy. And she was the number 3 on this day. She's ranging up on the outside. She did get a bit of a wide trip in here. She was 2 wide early. She had to switch out 3 wide, middle of the backstretch. Basically had no cover from that point on. And I do want to make that point, Mike, because if you're going to upgrade one performance coming out of that Winter Memories, I think it should be the winner, Ready for Candy. And you could see her digging in here to hold off the late charge of Paradise City, who got an interesting trip herself. But the 3 horses who were closest to her at the end, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place finishers, they all spent the majority of their trips riding the rail, whereas Ready for Candy was never inside. So I do want to give her some credit for the trip that she got and the fact that she was able to dig in and hold on. And at least she's proven that the 9 furlongs is not a problem for her, because she seemed like she wanted every bit of that distance when she broke her maiden 2 back.
Yeah, and we should also point out that it feels like she might get that kind of a trip again this time. Yeah. Just could make the lead in here. I didn't see a bunch of horses that want to go with her. Everything that they said about her Winter Memories is true. And I would also just let people know that go back and watch the full replay there, because it felt like the horse to beat in that race was Mayday Ready, who was the favorite. And Mayday Ready made an early move on the first turn, and I think it forced Ready for Candy to go with her at a time when maybe she didn't really want to go yet, David. So she did a lot. She did all the work in that race, and she still managed to hold on. She's the horse to beat right back for sure. I don't like the Winter Memories as a race overall, but if I'm the only horse to take out of it is Ready for Candy.
An intriguing contender in this race is the number 6, Pretty Picture. Another one getting a bit of a class test in here as she tries Stake Company for the first time. But Mike, in her lone turf race, she couldn't have been much more visually impressive. And we'll take a look at the replay of that race at Monmouth. She's that horse at the back of the pack with a white face. You can kind of see the jockey with the white sleeves, and she's the horse with the white face. She'll be highlighted in just a little bit. Yeah, she's going to win the race. It's a little hard to believe when you watch them at the quarter pole, but she makes this terrific run through along the inside to get up at the end. I don't think she was beating the toughest field this day, a maiden special weight event at Monmouth in the middle of the summer, Mike, but she did come back on the dirt last time, made it 2 in a row. Again, don't think she was beating a very good field that day, but she is probably more of a turf horse. So the fact that she won on the wrong surface, quote unquote, it's a good sign, and she's an intriguing newcomer to the stakes level.
Yeah, agree with all that. I mean, the win on dirt last time, it probably doesn't matter in the long run because she's a turf horse. But even in that race, she spent, almost the entire race sort of between and behind horses, waiting to get room to run. We saw her finally get that, got that little gap there for the shoot at Monmouth. That came at the perfect time for her in her debut. It allowed her to get through on the inside. And you're right, it probably wasn't that good of a field, David, but she beat them handily once she saw some room there. I just like them coming back in a spot like this because I just don't think this is that tough of a race, even though she's moving up in class.
Let's talk about another couple of runners coming out of that local prep, the Winter Memories, the number 7, Paradise City. Mike, you mentioned the early move that was made by Mayday Ready, who I think was the favorite in that Winter Memories, and it affected the trip of the number 7, Paradise City, in a way where I felt like it ultimately worked out. I'm curious to get your perspective on that. She did get a weird trip, though, because she was forward, then back, and then she made that late lunge at the winner, Ready for Candy, in the late stages, just barely failed to get there, but she certainly handled turf the first time she tried it.
Yeah, she did. I mean, I thought all in all her trip really worked out though, David, because she got to save a lot of ground. She was even early in the race before the two favorites sort of made their move. She was letting a long shot go anyway.
Yeah.
She wasn't going for the lead. She was going to let a long shot clear her and sort of sit in behind, and that's the trip that she got. Shuffled a little bit at the top of the stretch, but she got clear. She ran. She almost got there, but all in all, I just thought she had a way better trip than Ready for Candy did. Maybe she'll back that effort up, David, and be tough in here, but I want to see her do it.
And she was 27-1 that day,
Yeah.
not having a whole lot of pedigree for the surface. Nobody respected her. Now she's going to be a fraction of that price with that exposed form coming in here. The number 8, Decadent, another horse that was a huge price trying the turf for the first time in that Winter Memories. And she ran okay. She, clunked up for 4th along the inside. Another one that just rode the rail every step of the way, saved all the ground, that it seemed like that benefited her in the late stages as she got up for 3rd. But when I watched that race, Mike, she never looked like a serious threat to me.
I agree. I just feel like she kind of was a suck up 3rd, and then only got 3rd because the Chad Brown horse Griselda just didn't run well at all.
Yeah.
So this horse wound up getting 3rd, and especially when I first watched it, David, I thought maybe she didn't have much room down there on the rail as she was trying to close, and maybe it cost her. But when you watch the head on, it seemed like there was plenty of room for her down there. She was just 3rd best.
Let's go to picks for this grade 2 Sands Point. And I'll be honest, Mike, when I was first looking at this race, I was thinking that Fast Market was an interesting horse. And then I sort of remembered the distance of the race and I sort of talked myself out of her. But I do think she's an intriguing price option here. I see that you went for her on top.
I'm going to take her in here. Just mostly my position on this race, David, and we were talking about the Winter Memories at the Open, decide how you feel about it. I just don't like it that much as a race. And so I'm going to try to avoid those horses. Ready for Candy, to me, is the one to take out of that race. She is the horse to beat in here. I'm going to try to avoid those horses, though. And I'm going to bet Fast Market in here.
I've got Fast Market in there in second. I did put Ready for Candy on top. I just think she ran better than the foes coming out of that Winter Memories last time. And I do think the distance of this race and the trip she might get could work for her. 5-2-7-6 for me and 2-6-1-5 for Mike at the grade 2 Sands Point race 7 at Belmont at the Big A this Saturday. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.